You've got big projects to tackle, but your day gets swallowed up by repetitive tasks and constant inquiries. It's hard to make progress when you're stuck putting out fires. That's where Element 451's AI assistants come in. Acting like an extra set of hands, you get your time back for the high-impact projects. Ready to reclaim your time? Visit element451.com/AI team to learn more.
Hi, I'm a higher ed social media manager, and I have a confession. I wanted to better understand the nuances of managing social media for a community college. So I asked Devin Purgason, Executive Director of Marketing and Student Care at Forsyth Technical Community College, to join us on the podcast. And boy, did he have a lot of insights to share. Welcome to Confessions of a Higher Ed Social Media Manager, a podcast that addresses the do's, don'ts, and dynamics of the digital ecosystem specific to higher education. I'm your host, Jenny Lee Fowler. Join me every other week for discussions with some of the best minds in higher education social media management and marketing. Confessions of a Higher Ed Social Media Manager is a part of the Enrollify Network, a robust collection of podcasts designed to help higher education professionals like you grow. Explore our other shows at enrollify.org or check out some of my personal favorites linked in the show notes below. Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the leading AI-powered all-in-one student engagement platform helping institutions create meaningful, personalized, and engaging interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com. Mr. Devin Purgason, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Jenny. I'm so excited to be here. I have been so thrilled ever since you asked me to do this, but obviously ever since your book came out, I have just been the biggest fan of you, and it is such an honor. It's surreal to be talking with you.
That makes me emotional. Thank you so much. It's music to my ears, and it's equally exciting for me to have you on because, man, Devin, you are at every conference. You are like Mr. Conference presenter this year. And one thing I'm curious about is how did you get, I know you're good and you're excellent at what you do, but how did you get to be such a prolific higher ed conference presenter?
Oh, there's a phrase that we use down here in the South called scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Wait a second. Okay, I'm listening, but I'm not sure this is the right answer.
Yeah, so honestly, I had no intention of setting out to go and be presenting at all these conferences. I loved going to conferences because I love to learn and I love to listen to amazing people and see how can I contextualize that into my exact setting. And so all I started doing, Jenny, was I just started telling the story of Forsyth Tech and telling the amazing things that our institution and our faculty and staff and students are doing. And it resonated with people. And yeah. It's been so much fun to be able to go around and not say, oh, I've done this, but really point to our school and the mission and vision and the students that we have. It's been such a privilege to just be able to go around from place to place and talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you said it. I was going to say it must be resonating with people because you are booked and busy and I'm going to say blessed. I don't want to assume.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So thank you for making time for my little podcast. I did want to ask you, I'm looking forward to this because there's so much that I don't know about running social media for a community college. So I do know that the 4-year institutions and 2-year institutions have very distinct audiences. Can you unpack that a little bit for me?
So community colleges, I'll give you an example from Forsyth Tech. The average age of our student is 26 years old. When we had our commencement last semester, we had our youngest graduate was 16 years old, and then our most senior graduate was 77 years old. And so we just have a huge array of students, not just age, but background and ethnicity and the way they consume data and the way they consume information. People who have just come back to college and never knew what Blackboard was or what is an LMS or anything like that. I've never done online education, to people that are the quote unquote traditional student. They just graduated high school and they are looking for a pathway to a 4-year degree. So we serve just such a wide variety of students that it's hard for us to really stick with one kind of strategy. We have to be very diverse in our strategy, because you'll hear people say things like, oh, the young people aren't on Facebook anymore. Oh, like, well, you shouldn't even worry about Facebook because that's just old people like me.
Oh, please.
Right. Well,
wait. I have to interject because you do not qualify for the old yet. Okay. So I just wanted to interject and say that.
Sometimes it's like a feeling, like I'm just an old soul. Like,
okay. That's different. Yeah. You were just saying different strategies because you have such like from 16 to 77. Wow. That's a really broad demographic. So I'm sure engagement, getting your student population to engage is probably pretty challenging.
It is. And I feel like we have strategies for each social platform. Every platform has its own sort of audience demographic that it really caters to. And obviously there is leeway with all of those pieces, but we really do have to be very strategic with the types of content that we are creating and then publishing on each platform, because we have a different set of audience there.
I feel like we should all be doing that anyway, but I'm sure it's even more important for you to pinpoint exactly what type of content you're sharing on each platform.
Absolutely. I think one thing that, and maybe you have had this trope before, I'll have a lot of people that are like, you know what we need? We need a TikTok. And then they spell it TICK, TOCK.
Like it's the answer, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And people don't even understand the amount of planning and the stress of the content creation that lies on social media teams to create content for those things. It's not just as simple as it's just posting on Facebook. They don't understand what you do, Jenny, which is the strategy behind it. It is a hugely strategic thing for our colleges and universities. And so I don't know why I started talking about that, Jenny, but you just got me on my soapbox about social media.
Anytime I can get people to think more in a sophisticated manner about what we do, being very channel specific and intentional about each channel is important. What are other tactics maybe that you can get that you found work for a 2-year institution to get students to engage? Because that sounds really tough. Yeah.
So something that we have found that has been really important for us from a social media engagement standpoint, that has been really cross-platform, it does well anywhere we have it, is utilizing our president and her social engagement. She has just really been an engagement force with our students, our faculty, and staff. I've even noticed things where when she posts stuff or she takes what we're saying or she shares things or we create a campaign that's around her, faculty and staff start commenting on it more.
And that has been your thing to get your community engaged.
Exactly.
Now, okay, I'm just going to slow you down just for a second because I feel like, did you luck into this? Because that's very lucky, right? Because you need a very specific type of president, right? Is she younger? Is she old? Can you tell us a little bit?
So yeah, let me tell you a little bit about Dr. Spriggs. Before I get into that, I think one thing, and I feel like you could probably agree with me here. If you don't, let me know. I think one thing that we've seen is that Gen Z, Gen Alpha, what they really resonate with is authenticity, right?
Yes.
It's huge.
100%.
It's huge,
yeah.
Right? And something that I think is interesting is that we attribute that to Gen Z and Gen Alpha as a hallmark characteristic of them. But do you know any age group that does not value authenticity? Because I don't.
Devin, good point. That's a really good point.
Yeah. So I think what has happened is it's not that Gen Z, Gen Alpha relish in authenticity more than any other generation, I think it really shows the way that we have developed a relationship with content on social, that we have moved to a place to where authentic content is what we desire and what we want to ingest.
I need a slow clap for that. I think that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Well, thank you. That makes me feel good because you agree with it. So it doesn't mean that I'm totally off the wall.
No, I agree with you 100%. Yeah. So you're saying regardless of the age demographic, when we see something that is really authentic and hits upon the culture, it's not just Gen Z and Gen Alpha. We all really appreciate it.
100%. And you can see that with even the evolution, like the historical quote unquote evolution of like meme culture and how memes have grown in prominence to even being like where people get information from or disinformation from is from memes. And so something about Dr. Spriggs, she is, first off, she's not a grandma, she's a GG. Okay. And I hear that is an important distinction.
I got you. I think I know some GGs, but yes. Yeah. Okay.
There might be some GGs listening to this podcast now, and they would definitely agree that there is a difference between a grandma.
Hello to the GGs out there. We got
and
you.
And a GG. Yes. Yeah. And so Dr. Spriggs is a GG. One thing that I think makes her incredibly special, especially to the students, the faculty and staff at Forsyth Tech, is she grew up in North Carolina on a tobacco farm. She was the first person in her family to go to college.
First generation.
She was a first generation college student, which is very which is very similar to the demographics of community college students. We have a huge population of first generation college students. Not only was she a first generation college student, she got a scholarship. She went to a 4-year school. She started her degree there. After 1 year, she came home. A company offered her a position with more money than she had ever thought she could ever make, right? She took that job. She stopped going to school at her 4-year college, and she started working and raising a family. She got married. She had children, and it took her 12 years to finish her bachelor's degree, okay? So she went 12 years, and the way that she picked back up was actually going through community colleges. She went to a community college after completing that bachelor's degree. And when I say, it took her 12 years, I don't mean like, oh, wow, how terrible. It took her 12 years. No. She was working. She had a family. She jokes and says she was raising her kids and her husband at that time.
Sure. She was on the traditional path, but then finished non-traditionally. She's a great ambassador for Forsyth and that choice. Great story.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that that person's going to resonate well through social. So continue.
Absolutely. So she has a very unique position in that she can relate with the community college student. She can relate with the faculty and the staff in ways that I feel like a lot of other presidents might not necessarily be able to. Now, that coupled with she is just on top of technology. I mean, one of the reasons I think Forsyth Tech, if you look us up, if you see a lot of the things that I talk about, it's about AI. I mean, right at the onset of OpenAI, generative AI, really setting the stage, she immediately said, we got to get an AI task force together. We want to be leading the pack whenever it comes to some of these things. And so she's always just been that way. And so what she does, she's very authentic on social. She is commenting on students' stuff. She's commenting on Forsyth Tech stuff. She's reposting it. I'm so proud. I don't know what it's like really to work for a president that does not have like...
That's great. I mean, that's fantastic. And so what was the moment or the post or what was the thing that made... Because I think it takes a good person to recognize like what we have something here and we should build it around her, you know? So can you take me to that moment or post or thing? Yeah,
absolutely. So during the pandemic, we basically had these Instagram, Facebook Lives with Dr. Spriggs, where we got her out in the front and she was engaging with students and students were commenting. She was answering questions. And that really started to open the door. I think that was, for me, one of those catalyst moments where I saw, oh, wait, people really resonate with her. People really love to engage with her on social media. People love, very similar to like a brand on Instagram or on a social account that interacts with you. It gives you this extra like, ding, oh, wow, they just liked my thing.
For sure. I love it when brands interact with me.
100%. And when they don't, I'm like, oh, y'all need to hire somebody.
I get you. Yeah, exactly. For sure. So you recognized it and you kept the momentum going, right?
We kept the momentum going. Absolutely. And now we don't do the Instagram, Facebook Lives anymore because it didn't have the longevity that other things had. What did have longevity, though, for us was consistently creating content around Dr. Spriggs. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't mean it had to be a live thing, 30 minutes every single week. One thing that has been huge for us has been the hashtag Spriggs selfie. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, these are like one of the most coveted things of our students and faculty and staff is to get in a Spriggs selfie.
I love that so much.
She's walking around with students and she's getting selfies and she will go and post them all. We'll be able to capitalize on them. We've even done things in the past for our board or for presenting to the college at the end of the year, like the 24 top Spriggs selfies in 2024.
So is she taking the picture? Is it exciting? Okay, so she's doing the selfie. It's not other people getting a selfie with her. She is doing it and she tags and posts on her own social media platform.
She'll post on her own. We will cross share together. So she'll send them to us and then we'll post them. There are sometimes, especially like if she's out somewhere. So let's say that she is at a conference with some of our student ambassadors and she will just take that and post that. But then, for instance, whenever it comes to welcome week or stuff, she'll be able to send those to us and we'll be able to post them out. She'll reshare them. She'll like them, different things like that. Faculty and staff love it. Every time we have any kind of graduation ceremony, pinning ceremony, she will always get one with the graduates. There have been Spriggs selfies where there's one other person, and there have been Spriggs selfies where there's 100 people. She does a Spriggs selfie for everything, and people just love it. It's been such wonderful, pure, genuine, authentic content. I think a lot of people too, whenever you get in that selfie mode, have you ever opened your phone and it's been on like the front facing camera and you're like, oh gosh, I look like that. You know what I mean?
All the time. And when you open your phone, you're looking down at it. So it's like the worst possible angle.
Yes.
Okay. I don't.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's just something authentic about Dr. Spriggs. Like she's taking these selfies and there have been times where it's like, oh, this wasn't the best smile. And she'll take 2 or 3 or, you know what I mean? It's been so real. People love to engage with it. She's able to really resonate with students, I think, in a way that they understand. And it's just been amazing for us to see the evolution of the hashtag Spriggs selfie over the last several years. It has basically become a coveted thing over the year. You're going to try to get some sort of Spriggs selfie.
You're cool. It's Spriggs, Spriggs selfie. Or is it selfies? Selfie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just, by the way, listeners, if you're enjoying this conversation, if you could give me a rating and a review, that would help me out a lot. If you could take a second to do that, I would appreciate it. But Devin, when you're talking about engagement, because you said the top 25 Spriggs selfie, that's a lot. Okay, so even to have top 24 means you're taking a lot. And when you're saying you're getting a lot of engagement, can you give us an idea of what the average engagement on a Spriggs selfie is?
Sure. So whenever I look, we use Sprout as one of our publishing tools. And what I'm consistently seeing is that we have anywhere between 50 to 125% more engagement from Spriggs selfies. And one of the reasons is because students love, whenever they see that they're in one, they love to repost it. And that's really the magic, because when we post things on social, we have a closed loop of followers, right? So only the people that are following us will see what is happening. If we want to get outside of that bubble.
And that's only if the algorithm sends it to most of the people, because it won't go to all of the people, right?
Exactly. And sometimes it feels like it's like the only 20, right?
Right, 100%. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when we post one, we're able to see where students will start to share, and it starts to get traffic that is like non-follower traffic. starts to really boost, which has just been great for us because it's a way for us to hack the algorithm in a way.
And extend your audience further. So most of these selfies are on Instagram. Is that right?
Yeah. We post a lot on Instagram. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One of my favorite Instagram metrics is the non-follower metric. I think that's a very undervalued metric. If you go natively and look at the insights, it shows you how many followers and how many non-followers. I think that non-follower number is key.
It's huge.
Yeah, because it shows you the algorithm is actually delivering it to people, like you said, outside of your following, which I think is big. Yeah.
100%. I also really love in-app data. I love seeing the share count.
Yes.
It's so fascinating.
Critical. Yes. That's huge. The shares.
People that are reposting it on their stories or they're sending it to their best friend and saying, oh my gosh, look, I was just in the Spriggs selfie or whatever. It's a metric that I think we have to look at more.
Yes. So building on that, if we're talking to other social media managers at community colleges, and not all of them have a Dr. Spriggs, how do you encourage them to find that thing that motivates their, students, their audiences to share and engage? It's a tough question. I know I'm kind of springing this on you, but
no, it's a really important question. And I think one thing that has been really important for us is that it has felt natural. This has not been something that Dr. Spriggs feels this is a PR stunt that the marketing team has foisted upon her. This is something that really feels natural to her. She loves doing it. I think that is key. Finding something that is authentic to your leadership is really important. I think number two, though, I think there is a stigma behind, oh, if I'm at a certain level or I'm at a certain age or I'm at a certain busyness, that I can't engage on social media. I don't have time to do that. I think that even if your leader is just liking things or congratulations comment or something like that.
Can't she have like her social media manager do that for her? I mean, I hate to say that, but a lot of us are managing executive channels, right? So you're saying even that small engagement, you engage first and then you will see that they will engage back. Make that a priority.
Yeah, making it a priority to really be the first one to do that, because I feel like otherwise, who's going to start commenting on the president's photos or whatnot? One thing I really love doing, and I love watching how this happens with Dr. Spriggs on LinkedIn, especially during commencement season or something like that, we start getting a lot of notifications where this person completed their degree or they're starting a job. They just completed their degree and they tag Forsyth Tech. And so something that I love doing without even having to really tell her, we'll repost that. I'll comment on those posts and say how thankful we are that person's a trailblazer and that they completed their degree at Forsyth Tech. But then Dr. Spriggs will be right there. She is able to see everything that we are posting and that we are doing. It reshares that and she'll comment on it. And then they'll start following each other. And she is just so relational in that way. I think that the idea that you have to create this whole Spriggs selfie campaign first is not really the case. It's really not something that we've done. It started incrementally and it has flourished.
It just became a thing. And the one thing that I think I'm hearing from you is you're making your audience feel seen.
Yes.
And we all want to feel seen and heard, especially about a brand that we're a part of or an institution. I think that even if it's not a president, it could be a mascot or it could maybe the admissions. It doesn't have to be the president, right? But I think someone, when you are engaging and really showing your community in the social space that you see them and you congratulate them and you thank them, that's really going to cause feelings and loyalty and motivation, right?
Absolutely. And this goes a little bit back, Jenny, to like the differences between community college students and maybe traditional four-year students. For instance, a traditional four-year might post about the amazing research that one of their faculty member has just completed about a plant. That's so cool. Like you're going to a university that has that. For us, it's a little bit more of here are the programs that we have and here's how we can help you save tuition. And here are the support systems that we have as a college that can help you. That's really the bread and butter of what we are posting on our social. That's a huge piece of our social strategy is showing students that we have the supports to help them get through their program. And one big piece of that is understanding that there's a real person there that really cares about you, that really wants you to be successful, that wants you to have a family sustaining wage, that wants you to complete this degree. And that is encapsulated in Dr. Spriggs being able to post a selfie.
Yeah, I think what I'm taking away from this is make your audience feel seen, make them feel important, make them feel like they belong, right? I mean, these are all words that we use a lot, but really to make it come across, I think is important. So I do have a question for you. So if there are social media managers out there,
Yes,
to your institutions, for your universities, and they're just like, my students, they just don't engage no matter what I do. They're like, no, I just don't think that is going to work. Do you have some words? Do you have advice or thoughts?
absolutely. So I think my suggestion is really to highlight your students. I think one thing that we've seen is that the magic sauce in this is not even necessarily Dr. Spriggs just taking a selfie, but it's students seeing themselves and then sharing it and becoming your ambassador, right? And so I think being able to share student stories over statistics is a really crucial piece to maybe increasing that engagement. And one thing that I think that we've learned from Dr. Spriggs, as well as Gen Alpha, Gen Z, is that people really do embrace authenticity over perfection. And so this idea that it has to be a perfectly executed, beautiful graphic, professional photo, no flaws, completely edited type thing, or even video that's like flawless cinematography, it doesn't really get the engagement that we see with some of the more authentic, rough, not perfect things.
Yeah, I agree. I think our audiences are over that a little bit. So when you say showcase your students, I guess I wanted to stress it doesn't mean it has to be a 500-word written profile on the student. Just like if it's like a selfie with the mascot, or maybe, I don't know, like something so simple, or thank you, something as simple as that, right? Just make it simple and show them that you love what they're doing. And you appreciate them.
Absolutely. And I love that you mentioned that it doesn't have to be, because I think that sometimes, like, you're right, whenever we hear like, oh, we need more student stories, that does not mean that we need dissertations about every student and you need to go do an interview with them and then we got to do a photo shoot with them or anything like that. There is a place for that type of content collection and curation. Even just a simple photo of your students, not using stock photography type thing, I think has huge impact for positive growth.
I love it. I've learned a lot. But Devin, I have to ask you one more question before I let you go is, what is your confession?
Oh, wow. Okay. I have a confession, but I think it's a little controversial and I might stop being asked to come to these conferences.
Well, I don't think that's possible, but share what you're comfortable sharing. You don't.
No. I was a Taylor Swift fan until, this is where it gets controversial, when Charli XCX released her album Brat this summer. Taylor released a special UK album that was only for the UK that edged Charli out of being the #1 single in the UK. And whenever I saw that, I love Charli XCX so much, and it really frustrated me. And I don't like to see women doing that to other women. And I love Charli, and Taylor Swift has knocked down a little bit for me.
Devin, you're a girl's girl, huh?
I am.
Well, hey, join the club. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. I will say this. Okay, here's another confession. If that one doesn't work, I created, within 2 days of Brat coming out from Charli XCX, I created an entire Brat campaign, billboards, everything, and the font, the logo, everything about that, about free college, before it was popular. Then, like, after a couple weeks,
was it green?
Really popular. It was Brat green. Oh my goodness.
Kiss.
Yes.
So
you know how she came out with like the extra album where it had 3 different things and it was like, it's Brat, but it's different because, whatever. It had like all that.
Yes.
So I made one that said a quality education like any other, but it can be free. So it's not. I'll have to send you these. I'm going to send you these. We're going to put these in the show notes.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, we will for sure.
Way too long of a confession. I'm so sorry, Jenny.
No. Devin, I enjoy you so much. And I love that you're a girl's girl. You're officially a part of the squad.
The next time Mallory has a Barbie party, I want to be invited.
I will make sure you're on the list.
Okay, thank you.
Kens are invited.
Yeah.
For sure. Devin, thank you so much for your time. And I've learned so much. So thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. I really, really appreciate it. This has been so much fun, and I'm so excited that I know you.
Confessions of a Higher Ed Social Media Manager is part of the Enrollify podcast network. If you like this podcast, chances are you'll like other Enrollify shows too. Our podcast network is growing by the month, and we've got a plethora of marketing, enrollment, and higher ed technology shows that are jam-packed with stories, ideas, and frameworks, all designed to empower you to be a better higher ed professional. Our shows help higher ed marketers and admissions professionals find their next big idea and feature a selection of the industry's best as your hosts. Learn from Jamie Hunt, Allison Tercio, Mallory Wilsey, and so many others of your favorite leaders in higher ed. Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the leading AI-powered all-in-one student engagement platform, helping institutions create meaningful, personalized, and engaging interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com.